Yo, it's good. Skano from the gutter. So as I had mentioned, as I enter into this new era of my life, as far as trying to live, not just be a Christian, but live like a Christian. And with that, you know, said, not carry hate in my heart, even for opposition. And I'm gonna be honest, it's tough, it's hard. For me, it's difficult. And Jesus, he went through all type of things. Obviously, being crucified, for just trying to enlighten the world to what God, wants and expects from us. So who am I to not be able to forgive? But I never forget. All that said, man, like I said, it's difficult in this country and this climate, especially when you see all these different stories out there, like, in Georgia, the situation with 4 cops, 3 of them white, and one of them black. And it was at a Chick-fil-A, which I used to call Hic-fila, but that's not Christ-like. So at this Chick-fil-A, they were giving out, they had some special where, law officers got free breakfast. So the 3 white cops, proceed, and now they all together now. So even if they weren't, what difference would it make? But just for the sake of, they're all together, and the 3 white cops get their free breakfast on the house, and they move along, and the black cop, he gets and up to the register, and they require him to pay. And this is the type of thing. By the way, I don't eat at Chick-fil-A, and if I did, I definitely wouldn't ever eat there again after hearing. This ain't the first time I heard something about Chick-fil-A. And not just in Georgia. Some people saying, oh, this is it's just Georgia. It's not just Georgia. This happened in Carolina, where a young black man and a young black lady, separate incidents, had, racial epithets written on their receipts. One was called a nigger. The other, young black lady had monkey written on her receipt. Neither of these individuals got fired, in question at, the employees, management or corporate off, whatever. They always find some excuse, oh, they need to be retrained. How do you retrain people's hearts and minds, though? See, only God can do that. So there's no amount of retraining, that's going to cure racism and bigotry and hatred. So I can't call myself a Christian and hate these people, whether it be African immigrants who shade FBAs, Latin, whoever it may be, but especially white America, because they are our age-old nemesis. And it's difficult. Like I said, it's difficult for me. This is one of the greatest challenges I got ops in the streets that I walked away from that beef. But I'm gonna tell you what, man. It's difficult. So anyway, this black cop, his partners, co-workers, whatever you want to call them, they happen to notice what occurred. And this is going by what this officer said. I forgot his name. Because he did file a, complaint with corporate. And as usual, they poo-pooed it away. And I think they gave him a couple of vouchers for a couple of free. Anyway, so one of them, going by his word, ask him, hey, man, you want us to say something? Yes, I want you to say something. And this is the problem. This is why a lot of this shit is, a lot of the racism, the bigotry, it prevails. Because we got well-meaning white folks in this country who feel like, hey, I'm not a racist. I'm not doing it, but they won't stand up against racism, while they want FBAs to run out there, you take part in all, and I got people jumping on my channel, talking about if you're not willing to go out and protest with the rest of America, then, woo, you go to another country. You see, this is what they go to, and this is my country. What you talking about? Y'all immigrants too, white folks. Y'all not indigenous to here. Why y'all always talking about? Why don't you move to another? Why don't y'all move? I'm talking about the racist white folks. Y'all hate it here so much. Y'all hate black folks so much, and others, immigrants or whatever. Why don't y'all go back to Europe or Siberia, Antarctica, the caves, wherever you came from? But, do you want us to say something? Why should he have to ask? So don't think because you are employed by the system, whether it's you're a law officer, a political official, and I got some smoke for this black caucus too, our so-called black political leaders. I got smoke for y'all too, but that's a different story. Yes, say something. You shouldn't have to even ask. Because if you really rock with us like that, if you really rock with your co-partner and you stand against that type of behavior, he wouldn't have had to say nothing. As soon as you knew what was going on, y'all would have stepped to the forefront. Y'all would have not had his back. You would have been in the forefront. And you would have threw that Hic-fila in the trash where it belonged. I don't know why black people still going to Hic-fila. You know what I'm saying? And I get the feeling that, that was just a disingenuous way of, they don't, this is, like I said, the cynic in me. And these are the different, thoughts that I battle with. Because it's hard at this point to trust anything that any of these other people say. It's hard enough trusting our own people. But when you talk about, like I said, he shouldn't have to ask y'all to say anything. And he's talking about the black cop. He was so humiliated and defeated. Why? Why should you be humiliated? That's what they want you to be. So just call it out. I'd have threw it in the trash and I would have went somewhere else. That's all to it. And that's what those his so-called partners should have done also. But hey, like I said, man. So we can't get into them gates, as I said before, carrying around hatred in our heart. God forgave us all so that we can have an opportunity to get through them gates. So the ain't on us is on us to also be forgiven. But that don't mean don't call it out. And that don't mean lay down, be humiliated, degraded, and let, these racist pieces of walk all over you. That's not what I believe, So I got a long way to go, like I said, but moving forward, I try to be optimistic. I try, as far as co-workers, people, that I come into contact with, that because I don't know their heart, but too many instances where people will smile in your face, and I've had this happen in the workplace. That's why I don't do interracial dating. That's a whole nother subject, but people, smile in your face when you get around them, and you let your guard down, or they get comfortable, or they get some drinks in them. They show you who they really are, but it's okay, because, heaven is not just for white folks. There isn't a white Christianity. There isn't a there's no black Jesus, white Jesus. There's just Christ. And if y'all so-called Christians really can't stand others that much, I hate to tell you, there's no place in heaven for y'all. Because we all serve one God. So keep that in mind with your Christian nationalism and woo-woo, one God. So we must not make the same mistake as FBAs, man. And I'm not, I'm with the delineation, I understand, but let's not box ourselves in with hate. And, because We supposed to be building bridges, not walls. And I know it's difficult. Trust me, I know it's difficult. But, in these times, just do not become them. You know what I'm saying? Do not let them turn you towards hatred. Because there is no place in heaven for them type of people. And that's all to it, man. So, I'm trying to practice what I preach. But like I said, it gets difficult. But, like always, we be alright. No ops left Scano. You already know.